chat when you're done. If you don't have the paper, please download it from um, the ICPAR website. It's available. Thank you.
nagiye yapasura ubukwe burya agatwaza uzi ko burya navuga ngo reka nitabe faraja nabo ngo bamuhamagaye ngo baje kuntega bambuze niba bazaga bavuga umwana ndareka niba bazaga bavuga umwana ndareka bareka ndabwitabaga arambwira ngo baje kumushaka tugiye tuvugana gutya nama ndangiza muzehe haruguru agenda yigorora ariko yarabyibushe yameze neza aracarara ni nabwo naje muheruka yarabyibushe araje gaturamukanyije arashoreye no mu rugo aranshora neza arangiriza mu nzu u rwanda usanga hano yakase kitaka gatoya yamagera ku nzu yiwe ntabwo hari hagoye turijega mu nzu turicaye aho ngaho urumva niwe na mukecuru gusa barimo
Can I check how far you are? Can I check whether you are reading and if how far you've reached with reading, please?
umukecuru amanota atatu wa kaminuza
May I also ask that you all check your microphones?
arashaka arabanza arambaza ngo nivuge soda uri bufate ndavuga ngo bazane sida
I am going to be forced to remove some of you if you don't mute your microphones. Please mute your microphones, and if not, I'll remove you and forgive you.
iya muzehe n'iyaje muzehe ntiwaza usangiza soda
I've decided to remove Patrick because I think he's distracting the rest of us. Is there anyone who has finished reading? Okay, I will wait. Please let me know when you're done.
Thanks, Abed, for confirming. I'm waiting for maybe two more to complete, and then we start. And Edward, please mute your microphone.
Okay, so I suppose we are going to start, and if you haven't finished, you should be racing very, very fast to finish because we do not have a lot of time. So, first of all, I assume that many of you who are here know me, um, either by name or in person, because I have been told that those of you attending today, those of you attending these sessions, have been studying and you didn't attempt the examination in Feb or in May, and you're returning now to attempt the examination in August. Nonetheless, I'm very happy to introduce myself. My names are on your screen, but you can call me Moses, and I'm going to be your instructor, facilitator in these 3 modules. Now, I know that many of you are probably employed. You have things you're doing. So before we get started, I want to make clarifications and maybe make another appeal to you. Kindly check your microphones and make sure that you are not distracting the rest of the class. Okay. So once again, please check your microphones. I know that, some of you are studying when you are doing other things, making calls and maybe doing other things. So it does distract the rest of us. In this case, I'm talking to you pre-dance. Please do mute your microphone. And if you don't mute it, at some point I will remove you from the class. Now, may I ask you to, I'm going to be mentioning your names and you briefly unmute, introduce yourself, tell us your name. Some of you are using, some of you use other people's accounts. So usually the names I see on the screen are not your original names. So I'm gonna need to know your names and maybe tell us something else that you think we should know about you, and I will tell you the rest. I'm going to start with Obed. Obed,
Okay, thank you. As you see, my name is Obed. I'm happy to be with you in this session.
thank you. Prudence,
Yes, as you see, my name is Prudence Igiraneza. Thank you.
thanks, Prudence. Felix, thank you, Felix, and welcome. Wilbur, Wilbur, are you there? No? Okay, that's okay. We have 3 sessions, and these 3 sessions are happening today. So that's the first one. The second one is happening on Friday, and the third is happening on Saturday. So today
The class ends at 9. The second class is on Friday, and that's going to happen online once again from 6 p.m. The third class is going to happen on Saturday. Okay, sorry about that, Widba. Maybe try to leave again and join again. If that doesn't work, you would probably have to restart your device. But first try to log out and then to leave the class and join. So the third class will be, or session will be, on this Saturday. And the class on Saturday is going to take place at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. at the University of Kigali, physical. I know that on the timetable, you do not have the class on Friday. So let me know if you have any conflicts, and I can talk to the leadership and we can find a way out. But for now, please prepare to attend another session on Friday, and that would be online. And the final session on this would be on Saturday, physical, University of Kigali, 1 p.m. The purpose of these sessions is to hone your skills and your understanding of this module as you prepare for your examination. And this will be done through past papers. We are not going to go through the syllabus, the content, I mean, or the study text, because there is no sufficient time. So my job for the next 3 sessions is to try and make sure that you understand what you need to do when you are presented with a paper of 1.1, A1.1. Okay, having said that, you have all had a chance to go through that question. The question I'm presenting on my screen, and let me know if you can't see my screen. But the question I'm presenting on my screen is question number 1 of the most recent paper. And that paper was to May 2025. Now, I want to start by saying that do not be surprised when you find that question number 1 of your paper is on the macro environment. And that is at the beginning of chapter number 2, for those of you who are not familiar with the flow of these things. So please prepare for question number 1. Usually comes from that section of chapter number 2, which is the macro environment. Yeah, the macro environment. So what are we talking about here? The question says, using the Pestel framework, analyze TBL's macro environment. I want to remind you, because I know I've probably taught many of you here before, that when you're answering any question in this paper, you need to first bring a very short introduction of the key concept that is in the requirement. So, in this requirement, what do you think is the key concept? feel free to unmute. What is the key concept here that is being examined in this part 1, part A? Yeah, I prefer if you unmute. I prefer if I unmute and simply speak. It really makes the class engaging. Anyone?
The key concept is pastel framework.
Correct. Thank you. Pastel. So in this case, it's necessary and important for us to start by explaining what pastel means. Now, it's important for us to start by explaining what pastel means. If you have any textbook for this paper, you would find the explanation for the pastel framework. And that should take you maybe the first paragraph. The second important action you need to take is to draw a diagram. If you have a diagram in your textbook on the key topic, on the key concept, then please do not hesitate to draw it. And you have to make reference to it in the introduction. Don't simply drop it there and leave it there hanging. No, it is absolutely advisable for you to make reference to it and draw it. And don't spend so much time on it, because the highest you can earn on a diagram is 2 marks, same as the introduction. The introduction is usually going to be either 1 or 2 marks. So on a good day, you have 2 marks, 2 marks, and those are 4 marks that you have corrected before you have even started answering the question. Okay. So that is an important area. Now, so when you're done introducing the topic and then drawing the diagram, that's when you start answering. So the PESTEL stands for political, economic, social, technology or technological factors, environmental factors, and legal factors. Let's start with political. When we talk about political factors, we simply mean the role of the government and government policy in influencing business, economic activities. Many, if not all of these factors are external factors. They're external factors, and any single entity cannot easily control these factors. So they affect the business from the external environment. It's important for a company, for a business, to understand them and how they affect and how they play around and how they influence economic activities in general and business and outcomes for a company specifically. So let's start with politics, political factors. You need to check the case study and identify how political factors influence the business. Yeah? How political factors influence the company. Now, let's look at the case study. Are there some indicators or indications about political factors? Anything we can say? Those of you who have had a chance to read the case study. Anyone? Obed, have you had a chance to look at the case study? Can you tell us one way the political factors affect the business?
Okay, thank you. I think government introduced that Remera Financial Service Center just to improve financial service to community. It is maybe
Mm.
in this paragraph. Start by this paragraph. Remera Financial Service Center. Yeah, above a new product development process.
Mm.
Says the government established the Remera Financial Service Center in 2019 with the aim of providing low transaction cost, easy access to capital, qualified labor force, and dynamic business ecosystem, and continue like that.
Mm. Okay, thank you. Absolutely. So the government simply establishing this financial center is a good indication that the government is supporting business, and with the financial center comes a number of benefits. Yeah, the benefits they're talking about here are providing low cost transactions, easy capital, qualified labor, dynamic business ecosystem, and a number of other benefits. So this is an indication that the government is supportive to the business environment. And so that's a positive political factor. It enhances business. Okay. So that is the political factor. I'm sure there are other factors. I'm sure there are other indicators, but we don't have much time. So I'm going to move on to the economic factors. And I'm going to check on Felix. Have you had a chance to look at economic factors? Can you point us to a point where they are discussing economic factors? If you have the paper with you. Okay. Okay. So what it's under what subheading? Okay. 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 So you said that the bank, which point did you talk about? Which one? Ah, yes, yes. Okay. It makes sense. Makes sense. Which might mean that the government interest rate, the National Bank interest rate announcement has affected the economic environment in the country. And so the banks are becoming a bit skeptical and lending less because maybe they are being forced to they're being forced to deposit more at the Bank of Rwanda, at the National Bank of Rwanda. Yeah, so that's a good point. Do we have any other economic factor in this question case study? Yeah. How about inflation? I think they talked about inflation. Yeah, they said, first of all, they said there is high volatility in the world prices of petroleum, and that has affected the Rwandan economy. And then I think there's somewhere where they talked about inflation. They also said things to do with people drawing on their savings and yeah, just, yeah. Yeah. So they talked about inflation, they talked about high prices of petroleum products and how that is affecting the economy. They are talking about the central bank raised its lending rate by 100 basis points from 6%, 5% to 6% in August. That's another economic factor. They said the increasing fuel prices, which eventually I think plays out to also increase the general price of goods. And so those are all economic factors. And these are usually negative. They are playing out to be negative to the business environment. Okay. But we should also not forget that somewhere the government has also announced that the central bank is implementing a number of measures to stabilize the economy. Let's talk about social factors. Edward, have you seen any indications of social factors?
I'm still reading some.
Still reading. Oh my God.
Mm.
Prudence. Social
No,
indicates social factors.
for safety and climate conscious as well.
No, no, no. I'm talking about social factors. Prudence, are you there? Um, Weber, have you had a chance to look at that? Social factors?
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
If you look here under the heading adapting to millennial era, the fact that they are relying on a certain social class may be relying on the illiterates, whereby most of the youth constitute its market. It is also a huge factor to their development. Yeah.
Thanks, Wilbur. Yeah, I think Wilbur is correctly pointing us to a point about literacy. Okay, they say that 80% of the youth in Rwanda are literate. That's a good point for the bank, at least, because as a bank, you want more people to be educated, to be literate. You know, the, you want to be able to for them to be able to read, because the more literate they are, the more likely they are to use banking services. So, those of you are asking, this is question number 1 of the paper of May 2025, the most recent paper. Now, however, there is another factor here that is playing around, and this is the fact that although the number of youth that are literate is high, those who are using banking services are few. They are saying that 36% of adults in Rwanda are banked, which means that there is a huge number of people, adults, that are using informal systems to manage their money. So what that means is the company needs to invest in marketing systems, marketing campaigns to try and attract new customers, because this essentially also means that there is potential for growth, because there is still a very high untapped market of people who are not using banking services. Okay, and from what we can see, the company is focusing on millennials, yeah, and the students. So they need to reach them and educate them about the benefits of using banking services. So let's talk about technological factors. And I'm going to ask Marie-Ange. Marie-Ange, would you mind telling us what you have seen about technological factors?
Okay, what I have seen is that here they talk about how the Tibber is serving a market. That they have the study maybe that the most of the youth uh, they are using banking services, but using e-banking sector, which is rapidly growing, and also the show that this millennial era it will be for investors in businesses and other studies. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, so I'm sure we have all seen a few things from the technology perspective. We have seen where did they talked about ATMs, I think, somewhere here in this chapter, in this wait a minute, just a second. So yeah, there is where they're saying that the high transport costs as well as COVID-19 have meant that many customers now prefer to transact using digital alternative channels such as mobile and internet banking. and ATM machines. Yeah. Oh, what's this? Just a second. Yeah. ATM machines. Where was this? Yeah, here. Yeah, ATM machines. And they are also saying the company is investing in secure platforms. There is also where I think where they said that the company is encouraging people to use alternative channels, internet banking and mobile banking. And this shows a shift. Yeah, it shows a shift about the company encouraging people, more specifically its customers, to move from traditional banking systems to more modern banking systems. Right. Let's talk about environmental factors. Edward, I'm sure you have now had a chance to read. Can you tell us something about environmental factors?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Drake, under the surface and the climate consciously,
Mm-hmm.
Drake or bank is required to keep a tab on its carbon fingerprint with very powerful advanced technology. And TBR is encouraged to embed the ultimate sustainable price of its banking activity.
Mm-hmm.
And the TBR faced a serious financial and legal consequence if it failed to comply with these laws.
Yeah. So, what is your take? Do you think environmental factors here are important or not important in this case? What do you think after reading that?
The environment factors, according to this text, I think is it's a
It's what? I think you're muted. Uh, yeah, I think the section that you have talked about is correct. I just want to encourage you to be able to make a conclusion. Yeah, don't simply state the facts. Don't simply state what is in the case study. Make sense out of it and say, it appears that the environmental area or field in the country is highly regulated, and the companies such as TBL are likely to face huge financial and legal consequences if they do not meet the environmental regulation. And what are the environmental regulations? They are quite clear there. They are saying that they are avoiding, use of papers, using sustainable business practices, and to try and use renewable energy sources. Yeah. So it is in the interest of this company to try and do business sustainably. Okay. So that is the economic, environmental. Let's talk about the go factors. Yeah. And who has not spoken yet? Probably Prudence. Prudence, would you mind taking us through the go factors? Now, Prudence, when you keep quiet, the third time, I'm unfortunately going to remove you from the class because you're taking a free ride on others. So please make sure that you participate. Otherwise, I will have to remove you from the class. I think I would simply suggest that we can conclude and say that the country seems to be highly regulated from different fronts, from the economic factors to political factors to the environmental factors. It seems that the country is very well regulated, and the company is encouraged to follow the different laws and regulations that affect the business. All right, so that is that is pastel. Okay. Remember that maybe before I move on from this area, I want to show you other chapters that you may expect to get. Yeah. So this is the part where we have the pestel analysis, the macro environment analysis. You may get the national competitive advantage or the Potter's diamond. This time they asked pestel, but this time they may ask the first one, or the 5 forces analysis, or the resource audit, or the SWOT analysis, or the value chain analysis. These are all parts under the environmental analysis. Okay. So please take your time and go through this section, because you're usually going to get question number 1 on that, and that question usually has about 15 marks. So let's now talk about the process to be followed by TBL to develop its new product to the point where it would become commercially viable. Those of you who have the textbook, I want to show you the product development, new product development. So that's page 42. Yeah. So those of you who have the textbook, you can see this. But the new product development is these are the different stages or the different steps that a company goes through to develop a new product. Yeah. These are the different stages that a company goes through to develop a new product. And those are 6 stages or 6 steps. Ideas generation, screening, business analysis, product development, testing in the market, and finally, commercialization stage. So those are the 6 stages. Okay. Now I want us to apply those stages. So let's go back to stage number 1 and say idea generation. So this is the stage where the company is brainstorming and collecting information about different ideas of a new product idea or the improvement of an existing uh, an existing product that needs to be improved, anything like that. And there are various ways a company can obtain ideas. These ideas may come from employees. They may also come from other stakeholders, outsiders, or looking at competitors, or adopting creativity techniques. Whatever the case, this is the first stage. Yeah. So they said, what are the stages? So you have to make sure that the way you answer the question is in line with the case study. So in this case, you may say, TBL needs to examine the various suggestions available of business ideas and decide on which ones to implement. TBL may obtain ideas from its staff. It may obtain ideas from its customers, suppliers, and so on and so forth. So that is idea generation. The second stage is screening. Now, screening is simply about evaluating, maybe if from step number 1, if you have come up with 6 or 10 ideas under screening, you are simply evaluating. Yeah, you are evaluating. You are evaluating those ideas to simply decide which ones you should seriously consider, because some of those ideas will turn out to be not feasible. They will turn out to be bad ideas. So you need to screen those ideas and decide, drop those that are not going to make the cut. Okay. There are various ways you can screen ideas, but from what we have here, you look at the probability of success of an idea, and that is a result of the probability of technical completion times the probability of commercialization given technical completion, and times the probability of economic success given commercialization. So let's say out of 10 ideas, you have screened and you are left with 1 or 2. The next stage is business analysis. At this stage, you now develop the idea in a lot more details. Okay, you look at the potential sales of the product. You look at the potential profitability. You look at the demand. you look at the costs, you look at the risks and opportunities and so on. And from this stage, you now move to product development. You develop a prototype at this stage, okay? And then you do what? You test that prototype in the market, okay? So at this stage, you start kind of like selling the product on the market, but on a testing basis. And then finally, you do commercialization. What happens at this stage is when you do testing, you will sometimes get feedback. And when you get feedback, some of that feedback might be useful. What you do at this stage is you incorporate some of the useful feedback and improve the product. After improving the product, you sell that product to the market. You scale production and sell the product to the market. Okay, so that is commercialization stage. So, of course, there are a certain number of questions that you need to ask yourself at this stage. Packaging, design, promotion, price. Where are you going to sell this product? How are you going to distribute it to the final consumers? All those ones are questions that you should be asking yourself at the commercialization stage. And there are different hurdles that you face at each stage. And before you move on to the next stage, you need to sufficiently address those hurdles. Otherwise, you will end up with a product which is not ready for the market and it will flop. Those are the 6 stages that this company needs to go through. And remember that the way you answer them needs to be tailored to the case study for you to be awarded full marks. And remember that at the beginning, you must explain what new product development means, which should be quite easy. Now let's talk about question 3C. Using the Everett-Rogers Innovation Adoption Curve, advise TBL's management on the 5 groups of people when it comes to readiness to adopt a new product and their characteristics. Okay, so Everett. Everett. All right. So Everett, Everett, Everett Rogers had a concept. He had a concept about the different stages that customers go through to adopt a product. So according to Everett Rogers, you don't simply expect customers to like your product overnight. There is a process, a mental process that they go through from when they get to know your product, when they become loyal to your product. And those are 5 stages. The first stage is awareness. Second stage is interest. Third stage is evaluation. Fourth stage is trial. And fifth stage is adoption of the purchase. Let's start with awareness. At this stage, people get introduced to your product. What do you need to do at this stage? You need to have some sort of a marketing campaign. And then a marketing campaign, and then make sure as many people as possible know your product. Number 2 is interest. Interest simply means that people knowing your product is one thing, but getting seriously interested in that product is another. And what this implies is after making sure that people know your product or making your product known, you must make sure people are interested in your product. That simply means that you need to improve your services, you need to improve the quality, you need to make sure that you are meeting the needs of the customers, you are listening to their complaints, you are offering more features. Yeah, those are all things that are going to make people interested in your product. Number 3 is evaluation. So at this point, people evaluate your product. Yeah, they conduct the cost benefit analysis. This is to say, are they, compared to other maybe comparable products, is this good? Yeah, so people in their head, people are saying, okay, should I keep buying this product? Should I leave it? Should I pass it? What should I do? At this stage, you need to make sure that people actually find it more beneficial to stay with your product. The 4th stage is trial. At this stage, people actually move ahead and they test your product. They move ahead and they test your product. Maybe because they have had someone else has used it or consumed it. So at this stage, make sure that the test is worth it. Make sure that they get to know and they get to love the product when they test it. Because sometimes the first impression matters. When people don't like it at first, they may never come back. Number 5 is adoption of the purchase. Adoption of the purchase. Adoption of the purchase means that when people taste your product and they love it, and they have a good experience, then they are going to adopt that product. So those are the 5 stages that people go through uh, to to take or to undertake a product basically. So again, when you are answering the question, make sure that you no, I think I confused actually. I confused you guys. The question was not asking those stages, it was asking the groups of people when it comes to readiness to adopt a new product, and they are here. But it doesn't do any harm for you to also understand the stages, the mental stages that people go through. So we have again 5 categories. Those are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Um, innovators are people who usually adopt a product as soon as it is launched. And those are usually few. The second category is for people who are called early adopters. Those are people who are also very early at adopting a product. And then the third category is early majority. And those are people who usually wait a little bit to adopt a product. The fourth category is called late majority. Those are people who actually wait for some time. And those are also many because they want to make sure that they are doing something that they are sure of. And the last category is of people called laggards. I would say laggards are people who are adults who are joining Facebook right now. That's like an example. If someone is an adult, someone is in their, 25 plus, 30 plus, and they are joining Facebook, now they are called laggards. They have waited for some time. Those are people who want to be absolutely sure. They usually adopt a product when everyone else is actually leaving it. Yeah. All right. So, that's C. Part D is with reference to RFSC in the case study above to the board of directors of this company how joining the financial center is likely to benefit TBL in the long run. I'm going to turn back. I think I've been speaking for quite some time. I'm going to turn back to you and ask you to look at the case study and advise. How do you think TBL is likely to benefit from joining this financial services center? And I'm going to start with Obed. Obed, are you there? As we wait for Obed, Felix, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes. Do you mind looking at some of the benefits of joining?
Yes, TB can benefit from being known because of its product it serves.
Yeah, so I didn't. I'm not sure. I actually had the benefit. What is the benefit?
First of all, it's going to be known.
Yeah, it's going to be known. Okay, good point. Thank you. All right. Marie Ange, any other benefit?
Okay, another benefit is that it will transform it will help the investors to be attracted because there are other they will also collect customer information. And here they say that even though Tibet will be established in Kigali International Financial Centers, this will help them to seek opportunities from investors and also to collect customer information and their details. I think those are the other benefits that I saw on the yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ange. Um, Wilbur?
Yes, sir.
Any
Well,
other
I think
advantages?
Yeah, I think if the government established these services with the main idea of easy access to the capital, it means this TBL will also benefit in the long run as it will have many customers or people who are banking so as to access the to have access to such a capital.
More customers.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. So when you look at the case study, there is where they talked about those advantages. They said, number one, they said, though transaction costs, easy access to capital, qualified labor force, a dynamic business ecosystem to major financial institutions, those are all advantages that we can obviously get from the case study. But I'm sure there are other examples of advantages that some of you have also mentioned. Yeah, you said more customers. We can say reduced taxes. Yeah, collaborations with other companies in the financial services sector, and so on and so forth. Okay, let's move. That's question number one. Since we still have some minutes, let's take a few minutes, and read question number 2. Let's take a few minutes and read question number 2. Very quickly.